Hello, welcome to the Self Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 1 Logic of Inquiry in Social Research. And our topic is Comte's ideas on the nature of sociology. Written in the 19th century, Comte's works reflect his engagement with the methodology of scientific thought. He argued that, like scientists who studied the natural world and discovered the nature of laws determining the behavior of matter in the physical world, it was possible to discover the laws which determined the behavior of people in social world. In his book Course of Positive Philosophy, published in 1839 to 1842, Comte made the point that laws governing the behavior of people in the social world could be discovered through the development of a positive philosophy of human social development. In other words, Comte was saying that social scientists could use the methodology and insight of the natural sciences as the model for the development of social physics or sociology. He gave the idea of positivism. We can say that in Comte's eyes, the aim of science was not to explain why things came into existence or the cause of their being. He held that the aim of science was the explanation of how things related to one another in terms of invariable and universal laws. In this sense, observable phenomena are the main ingredients of positive science, which aims to establish law like relations between the phenomena through gathering factual knowledge. Gathering of factual knowledge is carried out through observation, experimentation, comparison, and prediction. The idea is that after discovering a wide range of laws, it would be possible to explain the laws in terms of their relationship to each other. Positivism of Comte espoused that science means the progressive discovery of laws and their interrelationships, so that science could one day propound a general law from which all these laws emanate. Comte assumed that the social world was as regular and objective as was the natural world. For him, social laws governed the social world just as natural laws govern the natural world. Comte thus considered the methodology of natural sciences the ideal way to discover laws governing the social world, and he advocated the development of a new positive outlook based on the methodology of the natural sciences. According to Comte, the main task of sociology was to discover the general laws of social development, and he divided the general laws into following categories. First, laws of coexistence or social static. These laws govern the relationship between different parts of the society, and as such they determine the functions and interrelationship between the various parts. The second one is laws of succession or social dynamics. These laws governed social change and required an exploration of the way the nature and the function of social institutions changed over time. We may describe the above as Comte's positivism. Since there are various types of positivism, it is essential to understand the basic argument of scientific inquiry or inherent methodology of Comte's positivism. As you know, Comte followed the methodology of the 19th century natural sciences for posting the principles of natural sciences to the study of human social development. Auguste Comte made in the process some assumptions and observations about social development. His assumptions and observations were according to the science of the 19th century. Comte's first assumption was that societies pass through a process of evolution and their stages of development are from the simple to the complex. In this sense, societies gradually become more complex and institutionally differentiated, performing specific functions. Next, Comte questioned that if there are incremental differences in society, what makes them not disintegrate? According to Comte, mechanisms leading to social integration need to involve one or the other form of mutual dependence. From the above two assumptions, Comte derived that evolution is both a natural and demonstrable fact, that it is governed by laws of dependent development. Comte argued that the task of sociology was to discover the laws of development by systematic observation, collection of data or facts, and development of theories to explain the facts. The logic of Comte's ideas is called inductivism. We can also call Comte's logic as inductive positivism. This is also referred to as the 19th century positivism. Positivism as a methodology developed in the 20th century was quite different from what we have just learned. You will learn more about positivism in the later units of this book. Based on the reasoning of his inductive positivism, Comte gave three stages of evolution of human society, namely the age of religion, the age of metaphysics, and the age of reason. This was a position counter to the one professed by the Church, that society in its most perfect form existed at the beginnings of creation, and that humankind is going towards degeneration and, more importantly, the division of the world into Christians and non-Christians, to be equated with the savages and non-humans. In the following reflections and action, we are going to critically look at the methodological problems inherent in the inductive positivism. The issue coming out of the problem of inductive positivism is as to how one identifies a social fact and how it is the same or different from a natural fact. The comparison of social science with the natural science poses a clear problem, for while in the natural sciences the objects of study have a definite material existence, In the social sciences, only human beings and their manifest behavior is the material, but observation of behavior from the outside yields very little knowledge about the explanation of behavior. The existence of a rationally deductive objective reality is philosophically linked to what is known as the notion of duality, exemplified in the philosophical notion of Descartes, best known as the Cartesian duality. Let us now complete that contains the other two parts of the earlier. We need not worry about the right or wrong answers. The idea of completing the exercise is to reflect and develop the skill of arriving at the understanding of how we employ logic to understand and know on what basis. The art of observation itself became a central methodological issue for social scientists, especially for those who had as their objective the study of society as against the study of individuals as in psychology. The school of philosophers known as the empiricists gave primacy to empirical facts as against the logical knowledge of the rationalists. Some of the philosophers of the empiricist school are John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume. The tussle for primacy between the empiricism and the logic is resolved in the social sciences by the need for both to come to a conclusion regarding social reality. The two ways of understanding social reality are known as the inductive and the deductive methods. By now, most social scientists agree that the processes of inductive and deductive reasoning run simultaneously as one attempts to make sense of what is observed empirically. One has to rely on logic for interpretations. And again, logic cannot be applied in a vacuum. It needs some kind of a solid referendum. Even the imagination has its limits and cannot go beyond the frontiers of human comprehension that is ultimately linked to what can be humanly observed. Let us discuss the craft of observation as practiced in the social sciences in our next discussion. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self-learning podcast.